miracles, a black man to the White House, and just when we're ready to pop the champagne, we learn about Prop 8. Then Inauguration Day came, and who gives the benediction? And then Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, representing San Francisco, a friend of mine who did the first fundraiser for the quilt in her home, gives an interview to a gay newspaper saying repealing the Defense of Marriage Act is not a priority. And then Barney Frank, who was on our side before he was outed, says he won't expand the Employment Non-Discrimination Act to include housing, public accommodations. And I think, what's going on here? It's beginning to smell a lot like Clinton. And then I read an essay by David Mixner, one of the great pioneers of the LGBT movement, calling for a march on Washington. He wanted to do it in November. He wanted it to be about marriage equality. I posted a response saying, let's do it sooner. Let's do it in October. It's better weather. It's not the holidays. We got the 3-day weekend of Columbus Day where we've marched before, where we've shown the quilt. And let's stop doing this laundry list. Let's name the dream. The dream is full equality. If you think you're equal, act like it. You are equal, all of you, whether you're gay or straight or bisexual or trans or whatever the hell you are, you're equal. I believe that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, we are equal in our ability to form and sustain loving relationships. We are equal in our ability to serve in the armed forces. We are equal in our ability to parent, to adopt, and to foster parent. We are equal in our ability to build strong neighborhoods and healthy communities. We are equal in every way, but sometimes I think we don't believe it. And then we come up with these lists, and we come up with these leaders who prioritize, and they say, well, maybe, be patient, and in 3 years we'll give you this, and in 5 years we'll give you this, and then maybe in 10 years you can have this. Now, there's a lot of very good people who've been working very hard at the state, county, local level to bring victories. But it's a failed strategy. I am sick and tired of fighting state by state, county by county, city by city for incomplete victories that are impermanent and can be reversed in the blink of an eye, as we saw with Proposition 8 in the film. I'm glad you've been inspired by what we did in 1978. And those of you who are my age and older, I'm glad you've been reminded of what we were doing then and what we believed in then. But for strategy, don't look back to 1978. Look back to 1963 and 1964, when the great heroes of the civil rights movement, after being beaten and murdered and harassed in Selma, in Birmingham, in Montgomery, said, enough, enough. The southern states will never grant equality to African Americans. We must go to Washington. We must go to the president. We must go to Congress. Now, you don't need me to tell you that the fight against racism is not over. But the Civil Rights Act of 1964 states clearly that it is the law of the land that discrimination based on race is illegal. In Alaska and Mississippi and New Jersey and Arizona and Iowa and California, all across this country, it is the law of the land. Yes. That is where we are at today. Now is the time. Yes. Now is the time. No more compromise. No more delay. We're going to Washington. Now, I've been in the middle of a shitstorm over this whole thing. If you look at the blogosphere, a lot of people are pissed off about this. And I want to just take on some of these things. They say, oh, Cleve, it's bad timing. And by the way, who would be stupid enough to schedule a march in Washington when Congress isn't in session? Okay, Congress is in session. Of course they're taking the weekend off. You want me to have the march on a Wednesday? Most of you work or go to school, don't you? Can you take a whole day of work days off to go? Can you come on a 3-day weekend? Yes. Okay, so that's why we're doing it on October 11th, which also happens to be National Coming Out Day. It's the day before the anniversary of Matthew Shepard's murder, and his mother Judy is going to be there with us. And it's the anniversary of the 30th anniversary of the first march. Now they say, oh, Cleve, how can you justify spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a march on Washington when we've got this fight in Maine? And now the right-wingers are mobilizing in Iowa to try to overturn that. And we in California are trying to decide whether we're taking Prop 8 back on the ballot in 2010 or 2012. Well, that just makes my point. Because as long as we pursue this strategy, what's going to happen? Let's just say that the California Supreme Court tossed out Prop 8. Well, first of all, same-sex couples in California gain nothing from that except a word, because all of the actual rights that the state is capable of granting have been granted. But they sure don't include the big-ticket items like, Social Security. So let's just say that we had won. We would have won no actual rights. And let's say we put it on the ballot. Let's just say that we managed to raise another $40 million in the next 10 months and put Prop 8 on the ballot. Let's just say our team does a good job this time and actually works with the labor movement and with communities of color and does that hard work and not, the milk, you saw how we won in milk. The only time in history that we've won a statewide battle. 30 years ago. Against the same assholes, using the same arguments. We didn't have $40 million. What we had was 40,000 people walking on doors. Hello, I'm your neighbor. I live down the street. I'm gay. Don't vote for this. It'll hurt me. Please. And we won. We didn't win with black tie dinners. We didn't win with multi-million-dollar media buys. We won with ordinary people, gay and straight alike, knocking on doors, marching in the street. That's how you win. So let's just say we do it right this time. Let's just say Equality California gets its head out of its butt and runs a decent campaign, and we win. Then what do you think is going to happen? Orange County, 3 Sundays at church, they'll have it back on the ballot. I am sick and tired of this endless ping pong game, and every round costs gazillions of dollars that could be spent on senior citizens, on fighting homophobia in the schools, on providing the services that our governor's cutting and that the feds are cutting. You know people are dying of AIDS in Africa. They're dying of AIDS in America. We need to be able to settle this and say once and for all, this fight that started 40 years ago, we have fought for 40 years. We will not wait 40 more. Equality now. All 50 states. All matters governed by civil law.